That just happened. Like, 3 people have just died. Okay, I'm in shock right now. This is SAO, right? Like, this is SAO, right? Am I on the right series right now? I did not expect that. Yu-Gi-Oh! He became the very thing he wanted, the swordsman. But he became the sword, and he died fighting for what was right, or for the sake of everyone in the world, and I'm in shock right now. Like, I'm legit in shock. Okay, where to begin? Where to begin with this episode of Sword Art Online? I guess let's talk about what Kirito is having to do now. With everyone down for the count, Kirito is going to have to stand up and fight. He is the only one left to protect every single person in this world. And once again, I want to go back to what Kirito's character is. Remember, the way he views all these individuals in this world, he views them like actual human beings. He doesn't view them as just a program. He doesn't view them as, like, just a throwaway NPC. He looks at all these living people, all these people in this world as living beings. And that was one of the things that Asuna a while back at the beginning of SAO Season 3 mentioned, that Kirito wouldn't really like it if he found out the real reason of this program was to build up these AI to eventually become machines to fight in a battle, a war in real life. He wouldn't like that too much because he cares about the living and he cares about these beings because they are technically human. And it's even more so when they're Fluctlights. And that he's like, okay, they are human. So when you see how pretty much he's the only one standing before the administrator, that puts him in a major spot. This is probably the first time in a very long time he's been in a spot to where he's the only one that could do anything. It's kind of like the weight of Aincrad on his shoulders. And once again, like I said, the anime didn't really show it that well, but there was a lot of stress on Kirito in that final moments when he was fighting the controller of the world, the one that made everything. When he was fighting that final battle, he realized the weight. Because if you would have lost, more people would die. Everyone would probably die. There would be no end in sight. There would never be an end in sight. And so because of that, Kirito felt that pressure. And that's when he exceeded his very limits to do what he did in the Aincrad arc. And so in this moment, him losing everything. He's lost everyone. He's lost Charlotte. He's lost the Cardinal. He's lost Yu-Gi-Oh! Alice is there, but she's kind of down right now. She can't do anything. Kirito is literally the only one. And he realizes if he falls and he can't do anything, everyone in this world's going to die. Like, half the population's going to get turned into golems, which are humans forced to turn into something against their will, to fight the other side, the Dark Territory, which would result in more deaths. And so the entire world would basically come to an end. And because of that, Kirito would be like, holy crap, they're all dead because of me, because I didn't stop it. Like, for instance, if Kirito is to die right now, even if he might be A-okay in the outside world, outside of this game, everyone else in the world would die. And he realizes that. And this is the first time he's really had that pressure, all these lives on his shoulders in a long time. And I feel like we're about to see the OG, like the Black Swordsman Kirito. Yes, we saw a glimpse of it in the last episode of Sword Art Online, but that was a brief moment. And Kirito really had to do a major leap. Like, he had to really try to overcome his trauma to be able to even stand and do what he did, to use Vorpal Strike like that. So, seeing him actually have this weight, I feel like things are going to get a lot crazier. Like, this man is about to probably pull out dual wielding. And it's something, like I said, he doesn't want to do. It's something that goes with his character because it's just something he wants to disregard. He never liked the Black Swordsman persona, and now that he's in this position that pretty much is identical to the Aincrad situation, that's probably going to happen. And I feel like it's not going to be what we expected. For instance, we all, or myself included, I expected Kirito to either grab Yu-Gi-Oh's sword or grab Alice's sword to start fighting. And when Yu-Gi-Oh turned into a sword, I thought that's what Kirito was going to do. Like, I thought Kirito was going to grab Yu-Gi-Oh and that he was going to have dual wielding, holding Yu-Gi-Oh in his hand like a sword and all that. I thought something like that was going to happen. But that was not the case. And so after seeing what happened, after Yu-Gi-Oh's sword, his ice sword, like, just shattered into pieces, Yu-Gi-Oh's down, broken in half, I mean, and Alice is down too, it makes it to where Kirito, he might have to use the incarnation system to be able to use dual wielding. For instance, while he, dons his black swordsman persona, he's going to have to probably imagine another identical sword in his hand to start fighting with. That would be so cool if he gets in his position, like, his iconic dual-wield sword position from the first season, when he puts his sword down and all that, and you see the sword just, come out of nowhere. You just see it appear as it, like, slowly incarnates into existence. That would be really cool if something like that happens, if that does happen in the upcoming episode. But yeah, Kirito's in a bad position right now, and I feel like because of this is really going to force him to change. I mean, we got to see some character development with him in this episode too, and that he realized he didn't want to be like how he was in the past. For instance, when Asuna got attacked and, sliced in front of him and he couldn't really do anything, when he jumped in front and blocked the move from the administrator to be able to actually help out Alice, that was a big moment for his character because he realizes he doesn't want to be in that situation anymore. He doesn't want to be to where, someone dies in front of him and he can't do anything about it, because this actually happened at the beginning of SAO. Even in the anime, it actually showed that. Remember the girl that died in front of Kirito, and that was the reason why he became a solo player and he didn't really interact with anyone, was because of that one girl that died in front of him. And that's been with him ever since. And so because of that, and then Asuna, and then seeing what happened to Alice, he finally overcame that. He's like, I gotta do something. I can't freeze up and let someone die for my sake. I gotta get up and do something. So that's what he did. So he's already making steps and changing as a character, developing, and man, what an episode. What a freaking episode of SAO this week. So let's get into Yu-Gi-Oh! So before I get into the nitty-gritty, can we talk about how this man was exerting dominance? Like, this man was dominant as hell. Like, he was doing the T-pose. He was T-posing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was T-pose. Like, yo, okay, look, I know I'm trying to be serious here, but I couldn't help but laugh and think of the memes of T-posing as soon as I saw Yu-Gi-Oh! Literally T-pose and all that, and it just like, oh my god, like, did they do that purposely? Was that intentional? Like, I'm willing to bet it's intentional, because, I mean, when you think about it, T-posing comes from games, comes from programs, character models, and technically, since he used, like, a system, like, remove core protections or whatever, it made it to where he probably was going into his default pose while he was transforming into something else. So, T-posing does make sense for the occasion. It's hilarious that the memes actually became true, and the man T-posed and asserted dominance to be able to just completely decimate the sword golem, which, pretty funny. That is hilarious. But okay, anyways, yeah, he transformed into a sword, which he does go back to his original form, but he's split in half, which is not good by any means. Like, that's bad. Like, the sword does land between him, and it does, like, freeze him together. But even then, I highly doubt he's going to survive that. I mean, I'm inclined to believe he's going to be okay because it's SAO, and most stories just don't kill off their characters, especially a character like Yu-Gi-Oh! That's kind of being viewed as the MC. But at the same time, I do kind of hope Yu-Gi-Oh's dead. Like, I do. I want to be honest here. Even though I like Yu-Gi-Oh as a character, I think it would be good for the series if he is indeed dead. Like, if he dies here, it would really serve a major purpose for Kirito to wake up and realize what's really going on here and develop him. Give him much-needed character development. I think that would be great for the story, if that is the case. I don't know if it'll go down that path, but I actually kind of want Yu-Gi-Oh to stay dead. If he is dead, unless he does come back, and then I'll talk about that later. But yeah, another thing too, though, is the whole element of him transforming and what he actually did. So to kind of explain that, when Yu-Gi-Oh was turning into a sword, you saw how he looked up to a crystal, and you see like a childlike version of Alice come down from the ceiling. Now, my interpretation of this is that that was Alice's crystal, like her memories of her being a child, and he summoned them to link up to himself, because that's kind of how the sword golem was working, which I'll talk about in a second. But I'm assuming that he used Alice's memory crystal to be able to link to himself, to be able to have the drive, the passion to protect Alice and protect Kirito and try to save everybody in the world. I think that's the reason why he did that, or what happened in that moment, and why we saw a child like Alice. I don't think it was Yu-Gi-Oh's own memories as an Integrity Knight. I think it was actually Alice's, like the original Alice's memories that he probably sacrificed just to be able to fight like that. So I think the original Alice might have died too. And if so, that's even sadder than I realized. Like, that's pretty freaking sad. But here's the thing, though, about the Sword Golem. The Sword Golem, it's explained that all of those swords, the 300 plus swords, were actual people. Now, what I mean is that they were like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a singular sword, but the 300 swords that made that Sword Golem were all normal individual people forcibly turned into that. They were forced to turn into those swords, and because of being turned into a sword, you had it to where the Integrity Knight's memories were linked up to the golem to be able to manipulate and move the golem to where they would have the drive to protect people and also follow the administrator. So she was basically mind controlling people. She was manipulating people against their will, against their own will, to be able to do what she wanted, and that's messed up. So she had slaves. That's what she was doing. She was enslaving her own people and allowing them, or not allowing them to do anything they want. She was just controlling them, doing what she wanted. And it was so messed up because she wants to do that to the entire populace, or at least half the populace, to combat the Dark Territory. So that's her answer. That's her answer to be able to fight. And they're a lot stronger, obviously, than the Integrity Knights, but it's still just, it's scary because she was wanting to do this, and it was going to happen regardless, and so this needed to be stopped. And so, yeah, the Administrator is definitely someone that is quite an interesting villain. She is definitely not a stereotypical one from SAO. She's not a simple one at that, because once again, if we look at what happened in the last episode, with how she's like, you know, denying her role in the world, and how she, you know, views herself like a god, but at the same time, she knows there's higher beings, but she's not going to follow their will. Just, she's a really good character. Like, she's a really good villain, and I think this arc, SAO Season 3, is just really showcasing how good this series really can be, and I'm glad to see that the story is holding up, because like I said, I'm no longer, you know, ahead now. The anime's ahead of me, so I'm just happy to see that this series is holding up, and the story is really engaging, and we have a really interesting villain, we have crazy character development for Kirito, and we're seeing an important character like Yu-Gi-Oh! Potentially dying in this episode. So I was on the edge of my seat. When I was watching this, I was on the edge of my seat, not knowing what was going to happen next, and I honestly didn't even realize that the opening song didn't play until the opening song played at the end of the episode. I was like, oh, it's playing right now. I was just like, I was that engaged into the episode, wondering what was going to happen next. Which, by the way, the Cardinal, I have yet neglected to kind of talk about that, but the Cardinal died in this episode. Another death, which is definitely a permanent death. That's a sad moment, because the Cardinal, in a way, is technically Yui. You know, Kirito's daughter. Someone that he considers a daughter that he met from Minecraft. And so seeing the Cardinal die like that, it was sad, because she represented kind of like a good god. Like, there was two gods of this world. You had the Cardinal and the Administrator, and with the Cardinal's death, it's kind of like the side of evil won in that moment, and the good god died and fell to the ground. And seeing how she tried to sacrifice her own self to be able to help out Kirito and them was even sadder, and she tried to get them out of there, because obviously they were in no position to be able to move or function, because they were just frozen, terrified of what happened to them when they got sliced and messed up by a sword golem. There was just no way they could be able to even fight back against someone like the Administrator. So I feel bad for the Cardinal. Cardinal died, and it was a really brutal way to go. So yeah, Kirito also lost another person, I think, which is going to push him a little bit over the edge. But I think I'm going to end this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.